we are supposed to know not all algorithms. There are two types of algorithms which you need to know. Okay, one is with regard to iterative. What is the meaning of iterative? There is no sort of recursion here. We are going to use for loops, do while loops, and things. Okay, predominantly for loops. And the other one is with regard to recursive statements. Okay, I'm not going to go much deep into all these things because you read about iterative statements way back in second semester, and also recursion way back in second semester and also in third semester. Okay, so I'm not going to go much deeper into it. So in this, we need to learn about three examples, which is for there for your syllabus. And in this, we are going to learn about the four examples which are there for your syllabus. Among all these things, you will have one question from this for sure. Among all these things, you will be having one question from this for sure. That is something that you got to keep in mind. Okay, you must keep in mind, but these things will be coming there, and you have to just write. Previous example, what you saw in yesterday, just keep on writing the same thing. You get that 10 marks. Okay, this is one of the most important part where you write everything correctly, easily you get that 10 marks. Okay. It may not be true for other theory part, but here it will come because it's a mathematical representation. Mathematics means always you are going to get that full marks. Okay. The results, I think, see your valuations aspect of it is still going on. I think the syllabus, which is what is that subjects, last two subjects which you wrote, data structures and probably mathematics, the valuation of it is still going on. Your seniors have got the results. Your next seniors, which is fifth sem guys, need to get the results. Afterwards, only yours will come. Okay, so still a lot of time, but that doesn't mean that you're going to relax and all. Okay, hopefully people have done well with regard to your subjects. Okay, so let's look into this. Okay, what were the three examples I'm talking about? The three examples are with regard to this. The what was the maximum of n elements, right? In an array, you find out the maximum of n elements. So that was the first thing you found out, okay, which was in the last time example. So in iterative aspect of it, there are three examples. What are the three examples? First one is finding out the maximum element in an array, the time complexity of it. Yesterday's example. Today's example, we are going to look into finding out an element, or also known as the uniqueness of an array. You're going to find out if a particular array has a unique element or not. What is the meaning of unique element? If you have elements like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this, you need to find out whether all the elements in an array are unique or not. Are they unique? Yes. If you have an element like, I don't know, probably this as like this, then this array doesn't have any unique elements because one is repeated, right? One is repeated, so you can clearly say that is very much, it is not at all a unique array. Okay, so this is what we are going to find out. And of course, the last one is a very, very important one, which is with regard to matrix multiplication. This also probably you would have studied a lot of times way back in your second sem also. There was a lab program also based on this. I don't know how many if you remember, because you didn't write an exam in second sem. Okay, so people will be remembering this as a program number 8. I don't know how many of you remember. There was a program program on it called matrix multiplication also. That only you are going to learn. So the three things which you are going to learn here, the iterative statements are maximum, finding out an array, maximum element in an array, uniqueness, and then matrix multiplication. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. Okay, all the three becomes very important because among these three, one will be sure. So you get 1 out of 3 means you have a 33% probability that that you are supposed to get one problem from this. Okay, and 1 from 4 where you have 25% probability that any of that will be coming. So if you read any one of that, it is very sure that you have a probability of 33% of getting the same problem in exam. How do you go into this? Okay, you know what is all probability, permutation, combinations and all. Should not be forgetting any of those things. Okay, it's a lifetime learning things. Now let's go and start with it. Okay, before we start all these things, a couple of things which you got to know. Yesterday we used a formula. Today we are going to use one more formula, not one more formula and all. It's just simplest of things. Just by looking at it, you will probably be able to understand, because we are going to use this in the algorithm which you are going to solve. What is the formula? The formula basically is like this. When you have a value like this, when you have a summation of Okay, when you have a summation value like this, when I value is equal to what? Obviously the lower bound, and here it will be your upper bound. Okay, when you have a value like this, CA of I. Now you can clearly see that the value of C here, okay, the value, whatever the value of C here is a constant value. This value of C will not at all depend on the value of I. Okay, will not depend on the value of I. So you can clearly write this as what? You can clearly write this as C. You can always take it out, and then you can write this as I is equal to lower bound and then the upper bound and then the A of I like this itself. This is the most important thing that you got to keep in mind before we move into sort of learning this. Okay, so this is the second most formula which you just by looking at it you know. Okay, just by looking at it you will be knowing C becoming a constant. You can take it out and also you can solve it. It will not do any difference of it. Then there is one more formula. This is very important. Where when you have something like this, when you have summation of I is equal to of course 0 or up to n, which is very much equal to when you have a value which is going right from I value is equal to starting from 1 again till n, that value will be equal to what? How you can write? You can easily write this as 1 plus 2 plus 3 keeps on going up to n. This is a formula which you got to keep in mind. Okay, I know it's all going cross because try to the maximum. Okay, it's going cross, I know. Okay, but just looking at it you probably will be able to understand. Okay, now you can see this. What is it? I value from 0 to n or I value from 1 to n. It will be, of course, when you have 0 it will be nothing but 0 plus 1. That's all. Basic elementary mathematics. Okay, up to n. Or you can write this very clearly. You know very clearly if you want to sum up. See what I'm finding out. I'm finding out the sum of n numbers. For finding out sum of n numbers, there is a formula. N into n plus 1 divided by 2. I hope you guys will be knowing this. Okay, we'll be knowing this with regard to it. You know how it's all done and all. N into n plus 1 divided by 2. These two things. Okay, these two things please keep in mind. The first one being this, and of course the second one being this one. If you are able to keep this in mind, then whatever we are going to see today will become very easy. Okay, just two things, just two formulas you have to keep in mind. Okay, see again I'm telling you all these things you can buy it and you can write just like I write a theory part, but that's not a one. We need to understand the the behind science of it, the behind the logic behind it. Okay, that should be the thinking. Don't just buy it things. People may be thinking, hey, I can just buy this and write the same thing. Yes, you can write the same thing. You get the marks also, but you'll not be knowing how it is all coming through and all. Okay, that should not happen. I can also put this as a PPT. There's no need for me to take so much struggle. Okay, so I can also put it as a PPT, but that doesn't serve any purpose except for completing the syllabus and all. Okay, so let's go into this. Let's go into the array and let's go into finding out things. First and foremost, what is the heading? Heading is very simple. Checking for an element or an element which is unique in an array. So what is the meaning of this? Let's take an array. Okay, let's take an array A. 1 second. Yeah, let's take an array A. What is A is having? A is having lots of elements. How many elements? Will not take lots and all. Lots of time it will take 1, 2, 3, probably 4. Okay, is that enough? 1, 2, 3, 4. I will take one more. Okay, or else we'll take one more. Yes, we'll take 5. So let's go step by step of it. Before we sort of look into this, can I represent all this as this as nothing but A of 0? This is nothing but A of 1. This will be of course 2, 3. So this will be with regard to A of 4. This you will be knowing because you studied a lot many times. The first element is A of 0. Is that very correct? The first element is with regard to A of 0. That's very clearly that it's A of 0. Then the last element, because we have taken only 4 elements, this will be your last element, which is nothing but A of 4. Okay, which is 5, whatever the value that you have given. Now, what is the logic to be followed? What is the thing we are trying to figure out here? We are checking whether there is a unique element, whether the elements in an array are unique or not. Whether it is unique or not. Okay, unique or not. That's all you can find out. What is the logic to be followed? The logic to be followed is very simple. You take the first element. Okay, you take the first element, which is a of 0. You are going to compare that with a of 1 for second element. Both are different. Then what do? You take the first element. You're going to compare with the second element, sorry, third element. Then again the first element, you're going to compare it with the fourth element. Then again the first element, you're going to compare it with the last element, which is a of 4. This is what the logic you do. Now very clearly you can understand, okay, very clearly you can understand the very fact that, once again, I'll just move this again. Yeah, see, this is the first thing you did. Okay, this is what I call the outer loop of it. What is the outer loop I'm trying to figure out here? Okay, I'm comparing the first element with the second element, then the second, then third, then fourth, then like this. Okay, if I'm taking only 5 elements. Then in the next iteration, be careful here. In the next iteration, what I do, I'll again don't go with the first element. I'm not mad. Okay, I'm not going with the first element again. I'll be starting with the second element, of course. I'm going to compare that with a of 2. Then again a of 1, I'm going to compare with a of 3. Then again a of 1, I'm going to compare it what? A of 4. Now till now, very clearly you can understand the very fact that all those things, whenever I'm comparing, it will be giving out that they are unique only, because you can easily compare, when you're comparing, what is the elements we took? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what is the elements we took? We compare 1 with 2. Of course, they are unique. Okay, 1 with 3, unique. 1 with 4, unique. 1 with 5, unique. Then 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. Everything's unique. Okay, all these things are pretty much unique, so you don't have to worry much here. Okay, then next one, in the next iteration. Can you go for the next iteration now? Okay, you are going to compare a of 2 with a of 3. Then a of 2 again with a of 4. Some people may be thinking, why a not 5? I'm only taking 5 elements. Okay, not more than 4. So what is the next thing? Next thing. What's the next thing? The last iteration, what I do? I do only this one. What? A of 4 is compared with A of 5. Now, is that the only thing? Yes. Some people may be thinking, what about the next one where you compare A of 5 with A of 5? No. You don't compare the same element with same element to check whether it is unique or not. Okay. See, it's like this. You are not going to compare yourself with yourself to check whether you are unique or not. Okay, that's more than being stupid. Okay, you're going to compare with someone else to check whether it is unique or not. So you got this. Now that's the most. This is everyone knows. Everyone knows this. Now what's the most important part? I need to assign, what you call iteration values to it, so that I'll be able to understand how the logic is working through. So what I'll do is I'm going to take the values like this. The entire I value. Okay, the I value will be representing what is known as your A of the first element. Okay, whatever the value that you're going to take, and you are going to compare with the next one. And this one I'm going to take with regard to as J. Same thing, it will not be working only here. Here also it will be I. Here also it will be J. Here also it will be I. Here also it will be J. Here also it will be, where is that? I. Here also it will be your J only. Because how to get a values, I need to write it in a general form, right? For me, writing in a general form in a form of an algorithm is the most important part. Okay, so I'm going to compare I with J everywhere. Now I need to write it in a generalized form. Okay, how can I write it? Okay, once again, I'll just move the screen. Yeah, I need to write it in a generalized form. How can I write it? I can clearly see that the I value is basically, I'm starting with 0. Is it correct? Yes, of course it's correct. You can see very clearly. I need to start from I is equal to 0. Till where I need to? I'm going right till here. Okay, right till here I'm trying to go. What is that right till there value? You can see very clearly that is nothing but a of 4. Now what is the number of elements you have? It is basically with regard to n. Okay, what is that? N is equal to 5. Correct? You must be knowing it's correct. What is a of 4? Okay, a of 4. I think this one is should not be coming, right? Once again, going to compare a of 2 with a of 3, a of 4. Then I need to write this as a of 3. Sorry. See, this is what the problem is. Sorry. Screens. Yeah, I think it's working now. Yeah. So let's take this as a of 3. Okay. See, when you're writing it a general form only, you'll get to know that you're going wrong. Okay. Now you see this a of 3 is compared with this will be a of 4. Sorry. Okay. You're going to row and go into very clearly that n value is equal to 5. This very clearly. And the way value is going right up to your last element. Last second element is nothing but a of 3. Last element is nothing but a of 4. Okay. Can write it this once again. I'll write once again this one. So what is a way of writing this? The way of writing is basically like this. In a very, very simplest of forms, I'll sort of sum up this that n value, number of elements you gave is equal to 5. Correct. What is the last element? Last element is with regard to, can I write the last element as a of 4? Very clear. Okay, that this is the last element. What is the last second element? Where the value start, I value starting ending here. I can start with I value is equal to 0. You can see very clearly it is starting from I value is equal to 0 here. It is going right till where? I of a of 3. Can I write that as a of 3 as your what we call as last second element? Okay, this is nothing but my last second element. Okay, now again, can I write this entire thing a of 4 as n minus 1? Because that's my last element. If n is the number of elements, n minus 1 will be representing because the value of array will be from 0 to n minus 1. Okay. Now what's the next one? How can I write this? I can easily write this as n minus 2. Right? I can easily write this value as n minus 2. Okay. So if I put this value into perspective right here, what is the value of a value it is going to take? A value is going to take from I is equal to 0 to n minus 2. Okay, I value is starting from 0 and it is going up to n minus 2. What is n minus 2? You can see very clearly a3 here. Okay, a3 here. So that is the value it is going till there. What's the next thing? Next thing, I need to go figure out what is the value of j. J value, you can see very clearly that it is starting from 1. Is it correct? The value of j is basically starting from 1 only. I can't write 1. Okay, I can't write 1 because everywhere it is changing. You see here, it is not changing from 1. It's not starting from 1 year. It's not starting from 1 year. I can't generally write 1 and all. What is the other way of writing it? Can I write that as, instead of write that as I plus 1? Now the generalized form may work. You just check. I'm writing j is equal to starting from I plus 1. I is equal to 0. I plus 1, 1. Yeah, correct. Then I know I value is equal to 1. 1 plus 1, 2. Correct. Same thing here. Everything is working fine. Okay. So it's working fine for me. J is equal to I plus 1. Till where? That's the most important part. Till where it should go? It should go right till there. Check here. Okay. It is going up to 4 year, 4 year. Uske baad again 4 year. So it is going at the end part. Okay. At the end part, it is going right till 4 only every time. And you check there, what is a of 4? N minus 1. Okay, it is very much n minus 1. So can I write this as j is going from I plus 1 to n minus 1? Okay, I can easily write that as n minus 1. See, this is the most important, fascinating part of learning algorithms, getting to know how the algorithms works. Probably you should have learned all this way back in your third data structures itself. Okay, but again, it's my duty to do it again, so I'm doing it. Many of you would have sort of learned it, I don't know. Okay, again, it was online, offline, so maybe sir would have taught you. Some people would have learned, some people would not have learned all these things. So again, we are just sort of looking into it, but of course, from a DA perspective, design and analysis and of algorithm perspective only. Okay, so this is how it works. This is what we wanted. For this, we did all these things. Okay, so based on this, can we write an algorithm? Of course, we can write an algorithm. Okay, so let's go and write the algorithm once again. I'll just smooth the screen. Yeah. So let's start writing an algorithm for it in a very simplest of forms. Okay, so where do you think it will be starting? It will be starting like this. I'm going to start with for, because that's where we start, right? That's where we start. For I is equal to what? You are going to start with I is equal to 0 to n minus 2. And then that's not our only look. Please keep that in mind. Then again for j is equal to what? I plus 1. I'm not doing anything new. I'm just putting that into perspective here. N minus 1. Okay. If I need to check the condition now, I need to check every time. If a of I, what is that a of I? It can be taking any values. First value, second value, like if a of I is equal to, be careful, I am writing 2 equals to, not equal to. Okay, if a of A is equal to a of j, what I'm going to return? I'm going to return 0. Now people may be thinking, hey, why is returning 0? Okay, if what is the meaning of returning 0? This means that the array, okay, this means that the array is having unique, no, it's not having any unique elements, not unique. When do you think this will become true? When you have an elements like this. Okay, I think this is as 1. When you have an elements like this, see, compare this with this. Okay, not unique. This with this, not unique. This to this, not unique. This to this, unique. Okay, 1 to 1 is very much unique. Then what do you do? You return 0. Then you say array is not at all unique. Okay, is very much not at all unique. This is something that you got to keep in mind. Otherwise, what I will do? Otherwise, what I will do? I'll very clearly say, before that, I need to end a few things now. Otherwise, what I'll do is end if, end for, can I do that? Yeah. Then again end one more for. Otherwise, what I'll do? I'll say return 1. What is that returning 1? This returning 1 means that the array is very much unique. So when do you think this return 1 will be executed? When you have an elements like this. Or 5. Take one more. 5. Okay. See, you're comparing everything. This statement will never become true. Correct? This statement will never become true. Are they equal? No. They are never equal. So return 0 will never work. So it will always return 1. Okay. This is return 1. Don't see my handwriting. For all those people who are coming, hey, he's not writing neatly and all. Okay. I know what is you people's handwriting when you write even in your blow books. So don't comment on handwriting and all. Okay. My handwriting is somewhat okay. On this, it's very bit difficult to write. Okay. Now you see this return 1. So now you see, where do you think this one it's becoming unique? Whenever you're returning 1. When do you think you're returning 1? When none of these statements is becoming true. When do you think that will happen? When you have an elements like this. Not just this, any elements. It should be unique, that's all. Okay, this is an algorithm. Of course, you can have to write input, output, all those things. That's a theory part. You will be getting the the notes for it. So don't worry. But this is the core part of that algorithm. Okay. Now, you just look into this. What is that statement? What is the basic statement in this algorithm? We always study that only now. What is the basic operation we perform in the algorithm that we need to look for. What is the basic operation that you are going to perform in this algorithm? That is nothing but this one. What is this basic operation? It is nothing but comparison. Again, we are looking into the aspect of comparison. We are checking for whether the particular element, where we are checking each and every element, whether they are equal or not. If they are equal, we say it is not at all unique. If they are not equal, we say array is very much unique. So this is my basic statement. And how many times this is getting executed under each loop? One time. Every time under each loop, this is the outer loop. This is the inner loop. And after in each and every time this statement is getting, see, you compare 1 with 2. Then again you go into the loop and then you compare 1 with 3. Then again you compare, you are not going to compare every time, you're not going to compare 1 with 2, 3, 4, 5 at once itself. No, you're going to do one step after other. Okay. So this many times you are going to do it one after other. Okay. Can I put this in perspective? Can I put this into perspective in form of finding out the what time complexity? Okay. Stay back in the class. You have to be here till I complete this. Okay. Anyway, they have given a concession of not having a repeated subjects. All those things. So you would have seen that when you have two subjects of a same subject, two classes of a same subject in a particular day, that thing is not happening. Okay. Also, even after that, you are thinking only 30 minutes class, it will not be nice. Okay. So just stay back and listen to it. Now, can I put this everything into perspective as an analysis part? Now you saw the design part, you saw the algorithm part. Okay. Can I analysis part now? What is the analysis part to be written here? First and foremost, very clearly, again, I'll show the PPT. It's the same thing that you can see every time. Okay. So what is the thing that you got to keep in mind here? The thing that you got to keep in mind here is what are the steps? Check whether, it is based on the input size. Very much based on the parameter to be considered is n. Of course, you give the number of elements n. It depends on that. Not a problem. Then what is the basic, identify the basic operation. We did that. Okay, we did that, the basic operation is nothing but a comparison statement. Then you need to check for compute the number of times the basic operation is executed. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. We know very clearly that I value starts from 0 to n minus 2. That is only they're talking about. Then they're checking if the basic operation to be performed depends on some other condition. Now in this example, in the previous example, it never depend on any other things. But in this example, it basically depends on what is known as, again, we'll go back to our screen. Yeah. Now we know very clearly that the number of input, right, which is basically equal to n. Not a problem. Then the basic operation to be performed is nothing but our comparison aspect of it. We did that also. Then the second statement, third statement is number of times to be done. Okay, so that will be representing in form of summation. Okay, what is that summation? The I, what are the value of I, whatever the value of j, from where to where and all. Okay, that also we did. Then the most important part, you need to check whether this entire thing depends only on the whatever the input you give, or is there any other aspect of it, any other aspect that you basically look for. In this example, that any other aspect sort of stays. What is that? The number of comparisons, okay, it not only depends on the value of n, okay, it not only depends on the value of n, but also depends on the position of the repeated element. If there is a repeated element, think that, if there is a repeated element, then this position of this becomes very important. The position of the repeated element becomes very, very important. When do you think this, position of elements become very important? If the repeated element is not present, the number of comparisons are more. Is it correct? If there is no repeated elements, you're checking for each and every aspect of it like this. Number of comparisons will be very much more. If there is a repeated element, where something like this, 1 to 1. See, the repeated element is right here itself. Two comparisons only you do, na? First you compare with 2, you compare then with 1, the repeated element comes, then you come out of that entire program. Then say array is very much not unique. If the elements repeated element is not there, number of comparisons will be very more. Otherwise, the repeated element is there, the number of comparisons will be very much less. Okay. So you can see very clearly the repeated elements if not present, the number of comparisons are more. So what are the cases that we can have? If you have like that, what is the thing to be remembered here? The thing to be remembered is clearly this. If you are finding out that, you need to find out the worst case, best case, average case and all. Here we don't worry about the best case, average case. We always see for the worst case. That is where we think of. See, if you want to study what is the think of you're studying for an exam. You need to study modules. Second module or third module you are studying. Third module will take. Generally, third module will be a little bit complex in almost all subjects. Okay. Third module, you need to study third module. Now, what is the thing to be done? We always find out what is the best case I can do. My best case will be with regard to, okay, how much time I'll take for best case. I think I'll take more than, maybe 1 hour. I'll complete the entire first, third module. Then average case, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours. Then our worst case will be say 10 hours. What we will do, we keep the 10 hours with us. We keep the 10 hours because the worst case I need 10 hours. If it works in best case, fine. 9 hours I'll sleep. If it works in average case, 4, 5 hours I'll sleep. Otherwise, I need 10 hours to complete this entire model. The same old way, what we are doing here is we are figuring out what is my worst case. Worst case time complexity. Okay, since the worst case is more important, we are going to find out the worst case complexity only. And how it is found out? It is found out in the same old way like what we do for the previous example. How? I'm going to put that everything into perspective here. Okay, same thing, same summation, everything only will come. It's nothing new and all. So let's sort of look into that. Okay, once again, I'll just move the screen. Okay, yeah. Now let's look into and find out what are the things to be done here. How do you find out? The time complexity of any of this is basically given by the very simplest of thing given as what? C of n. Once again, I'll change the color. Yeah, it is given by what? C of n, correct? The time complexity of is given by C of n. And where do you think it goes from? It starts from the value of what? Summation. I need to go write the same, not writing anything new. Keep that in mind. What is this n? Number of inputs. What is C? Time complexity. Time complexity of your n inputs will be working through like this. When I is equal to 0, uske baad, it goes up to till where? N minus 2. Then summation of, okay, j is equal to I plus 1. It goes up to what? N minus 1. What is the number of times each and every time the comparison statement is done? 1. Okay. Can I start simplifying this? Yes, I can start doing this. Okay. How I'll write? I'll write like this. Okay. First, it's always the innermost loop that needs to be sorted out. Okay. So what I'll do for this? I need to go write the same thing. Okay. You know very clearly what is the formula that we sort of learned yesterday. Upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Same thing is applied here also. Okay, I'm not doing anything new. So let's do that. If I do that, what is going to happen here for this entire thing? It's going to work through like this. Can I write that entire thing now? What is upper bound? N minus 1. What is the lower bound? Okay, minus I plus 1. Plus 1. Correct? Can I simplify this even further? I is equal to 0, then n minus 2. Then, so if I sort of simplify this, what is going to get? You're going to get n minus 1 minus I minus 1 plus 1. Okay. Or in a other step, can I write this as I is equal to 0, n minus 2, and this entire thing, if you simplify, what is going to happen? You're going to get n minus 1 minus I. Correct? Okay. If I simplify, you know how you got this and all. Okay. If you don't know, go back to school. So you must be knowing n minus 1 minus I. So you got this value. Now the most important part that is going to happen. Okay, most important thing that we are supposed to do here. What is that most important part? Okay, let's look into this, and you can clearly understand the very simplest of fact here. What is that simplest of fact here? That you can see very clearly that n minus 1 will not be depending on your I value. Okay, will not be depending on your I value. That is something that you got to keep in mind. Okay, will not be depending on your I value. Can I write this entire thing in two ways like this? You know very clearly. How can I write that? Okay, I value is equal to 0, then n minus 2, which is nothing but n minus 1, then minus summation value of I is equal to 0, n minus 2 I. I'm not doing anything extra. Please keep that in mind. Okay, I'm just substituting the values in a way that I need. Okay, yeah, now it's fine. See this? I've substituted the values sort of like this. Now, you see this? What is the next step? What is the next step to be performed? What I did here is just split the entire terms into two terms. Okay, just split that entire thing into two terms. Nothing more I did. Okay, so after all these things, if you have done all these things, what is the next thing to be done? Okay, what is the next thing to be done is you need to know very clearly what is the value of I you are going to work through and all. Okay, just previous in the start of the class I told you, when you have a value like this, simplest, again I'm going to tell, if you have a summation value like this, check the next color. Okay, if you have a value like this, summation of I value is equal to 0 and then n. Okay, that will be very much equal of 1. That will be very much equal to I value is equal to 1 of n of 1 will be very much equal to whatever I wrote. Okay, 0 plus 1 plus 2 till up to where n. And how do you write that? N into n plus 1 divided by 2. You know very clearly how this works. Okay, why did I tell you? Because we are going to apply that right in the formula which we are going to get here. If you sort of simplify this, okay, if I simplify the one what you see right here, what you're supposed to get? The supposed to get is you are going to get the same old way. When I put that entire thing into right here, what you are going to get is if I put that right here. Okay, or else the way, see again, stay back 2 minutes. I'm just going to tell you what is the thing. I know it's already 11:40 and all. Just stay back. Anyway, if the simplification we'll be doing, if your time doesn't permit, we'll do it tomorrow itself. But I hope you will be clear till here. Okay, if you sort of simplify this entire thing, what you are supposed to get? You will be getting a value like this. What is the value? You're going to get n minus 1, okay, plus n minus 2 plus n minus 3 up to where? Up to your 1, because it keeps on going till, okay, it will be keeps on going till your n, so you are going to get that. Okay, this is how it basically works through and all. Okay, and in other way you can easily write this as what? N minus 1, okay, n minus 1 into n divided by 2. Okay, n minus 1 into n divided by 2. How did you get this from here? Okay, that's called simplification part. That's the most simplification part. See, in exam, from here you can directly write here, but we'll not do that. Okay, we'll not do that. We'll find out how the simplification is done, because that's the most important part. Now we'll always find out how simplification for. So even then you don't have to bias this entire thing. Otherwise you could easily bias this and you can write that. Okay, how did I write? See, this is nothing but n minus 1 in plus n minus 2 into n minus 3 up to 2 plus up to 1. Okay, you are going to get n minus 1 into n divided by 2, which will be your time complexity of what? Time complexity of your what? The element to be find out whether it is unique or not. Okay, that will be the value. Okay, what is the value that is given, in a very simple terms? N minus 1 into n divided by 2. Okay, so that will be your time complexity, or in other terms we can write it as theta of n square, because this will be this is almost okay equal to 1 by 2 n square. Okay, it is almost equal to your, you can see this n1 square, okay, minus n, which will almost be equal to your 1 by 2 the n square, because that value will be the most biggest value. Or you can write that as theta of your n square. Last, in the thing you got theta of n. Here it is theta of n square. Okay, this was the previous example. This is the today's example. Okay, this simplification part will again will take around 10 minutes. Okay, which I think we'll be doing it tomorrow. Okay, so please be very careful with regard to how we got till here. Okay, you know how you got till here, but it's very clear. But before that, the design part, how you got you understood the values of how you got this I is equal to 0 to n minus 2, j is equal to 0 to, so what is again I is equal to 0 to n minus 2, the j values, everything. Okay, how you got that becomes very, very important here. Okay, so please keep that in mind. In tomorrow's class, again, we are going to look into the simplification part of it, and then we are going to find out the matrix multiplication. Again, this time complexity of matrix multiplication.